Hey everybody, Jay Schlansky here from the Fifth Trooper Network. I just want to take a moment to thank you for checking out this show. Did you know that over at thefifthtrooper.com we have tons of other content, including blogs, other podcasts, all kinds of stuff. In addition, if you want access to exclusive content, you can join us on patreon.com/thefifthtrooper and join at any level and you'll get access to exclusive blog articles, access to our private Discord, and much more. So please check us out, and thank you so much for all your support.
Welcome to the Fifth Trooper Podcast.
Hello, and welcome back to the Fifth Trooper Podcast. I'm your host with the most, Jay Schlansky, and this is my co-host with even more than the most, Tim Hannon.
It's the mostest.
With the infinity mostest plus one. You did it, pal. You made it to the big leagues. You're the infinity mostest plus one.
I'm an adult now. Hooray.
You know, I never have those intros planned, and you can absolutely tell every time.
I was just going to say, who could have ever foretold that? It's amazing.
Yeah. So here we are. Another day, another Fifth Trooper podcast coming at you. First
You almost
thing...
made me spit my water out.
First thing I'd like to cover today is if you are not signed up, Golden Sprue, that's coming up in a few weeks here. That is the 2 weeks actually. 3 weeks. 3 weeks.
3 weeks, yep.
Yeah, it's the weekend of the 27th of January. It's up here in upstate New York. It's going to be in Schenectady. I highly recommend coming out to it. It's going to be an amazing event, amazing tables. The prize support is off the chain. We're pitching in with prize support, so we're going to have stuff. And special announcement, Asmodee has said that they're going to be sending official prize support to this too. So there will be official AMG Asmodee prize support for this event, which is great.
Yeah, that's huge. That's awesome.
So for those of you who have been lurking, the link is below in the comments here, or not the comments, the description for the video or the podcast. So if you want to sign up, there's also a hotel block, which is in the description as well. I'm going to tell you, you're going to look maybe at that ticket price, and you're going to have a little shock, but it's going to be worth it. The price
so good.
is off the chain. It's very much a party like event. So we're all going to be there. I think there's going to be 5 or 6 of us from the Fifth Trooper are going to be there. Let's see, Dash, Evan, Nick Brobnar from Legion 99, Mike Babyface Cirillo from Legion 99, Timmy the Irishman Hannon from the Bearded Wonder from
the Fighting Irish over here
from the Fifth Trooper, me, Jay Schlansky from the Fifth Trooper podcast. I'm going to be streaming and playing and bringing games. My wife, Rachel, from the Fifth Trooper podcast is going to be there.
So many troopers. That's so many troopers.
And we're going to be hot to trot, ready to party, hippity dippity, doing all you can do. And just saying, both alcohol and weed are legal in New York now. So it's all legal, baby.
You're not wrong.
Hey, can I say I was recently at something? I'm not going to say what, but I was recently at something, and there were people like passing around in a joint, and in my head I was like, yo, we're in public. Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, old Jay, like, listen, folks, I'm an elder statesman at this point. And I was around during Prohibition. And so like part of me was like, cheese it. It's the fuzz, everybody. Like, put that away. What are we doing?
Yes,
and then
nothing screams modern like cheese it and the fuzz.
It's the fuzz. Well, I was going with the Prohibition thing. But yeah, so yeah, so that mentally freaked me out for a moment. It took, it's just one of those things where you're just like, oh, right. That's that's just like booze now. So I guess we're cool. But yeah, no, so it's a cool party event. It's, like last year literally you walk out of the doors from the event and there's a booze cart and a food cart like right
Yep.
outside the doors. Um, Tons of great people are coming. It's just a great event. So do me a favor. If you're thinking about signing up and or you are going to sign up and you haven't pulled the trigger, go register because that's
Do
helping
it.
us get more prize support. So the
Yeah.
more people we can get to register, the better the prize support comes. And like there's paint sets and brushes and there's going to be, like I said, Asmodee is sending prize support, so official
Uh,
prize support.
the belt. Don't undersell
Oh
the
yeah.
belt. Yeah.
Evan got a like a world championship wrestling belt for first place.
That's
Um
so good.
it's wild. It's
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
it's gonna be fun. Like I said, I'm gonna be streaming, but I'll be interacting with the folks. It's gonna be a ton of fun. Really easy days too. So like we're gonna be able to party afterwards and have good night and like it's gonna be excellent. So I highly recommend
Yeah.
you
It's a
come
lot
out.
of fun. It's great. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah. Next, let's do
It's
mailbag.
the mail that never fails.
It's the mailbag. All right. So, if you don't know or you weren't listening last time, if you get on our Patreon, you can do that for just $1 a month. If you get on our Patreon, you get access to our Discord, where you can have chats with hundreds of your fellow Legion players, but also you can come talk with us. And two of the new things that we're doing now are mailbag, where you can ask us questions that we'll read on air, and lists. So we have a list up today too, but let's go through mailbag. All right, so this first mailbag was started by Grim Wargamer. Grimmy Grimace. I'm gonna call him Grimace. Old Grimace Gamer wants to know why we don't do battle reports. Uh, and then a fellow uh Patreon member commented, and his name is Juan in a million.
I love that. I love that.
Juan, Juan in a million. I would totally watch a battle report between Jay and Tim. That would be awesome. I could learn a lot if they narrated what they were doing and their opinions of the units. So, first question is, why don't we do battle reports? They're a lot of work. And in the past, I didn't really have a lot of access to players and time and all that. And so that's kind of why we haven't done them in the past. And I think one of the reasons is because the way I want to do it, it's pretty intensive on like the back end on the editing and stuff. And
Yeah.
frankly, we used to do live streams, and no one watched them. And whether I don't know if it was because they were boring or because people didn't like them, but I think it was like every Thursday night we had King of the Hill, where we had a bunch of people we brought
Oh
in,
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
and the winner moved on and the loser had to stop. And so we were doing King of the Hill, and we would maybe get a couple hundred views of those.
Yeah.
And so the juice was never worth the squeeze, but a lot of people have been asking. So I will say, I'm not going to give away too much, but Tim and I are trying to work something out in that front. So hopefully, we will be doing something that will be a variation on battle reports, because Tim and I both have ideas on what makes a good battle report and what, like, from a retention standpoint, I
And what makes a bad one too, not for
yeah,
nothing,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
there's
yeah, yeah.
that's part of the problem with Legion, and it's honestly sometimes it's part of the problem with casting Legion too.
Yes.
Is that Legion is a great game, but there's a lot of, for lack of better terms, there's a lot of fat,
Yep.
and so there's a lot of fat to trim. And so yeah, so trying to get down to like what do people actually want to watch
Yeah.
is
Well,
is kind of difficult.
I mean, that's always a struggle, like any live stream. So the last live stream we
Yep.
did was uh 2 years ago, Adepticon. And there's such a mixed audience that it's hard to make everybody happy. And so like, when I stream, I try to have a good time. I tell jokes, I make fun of people, I do things, I do
Same,
fun things.
same.
I have people
Yep.
on and we just talk shit for like 20 minutes because nothing's
Yeah.
happening, right?
So
And
you have to have that banter
right.
going, otherwise you're stuck.
And then we get yelled at because people are like, "Why are you talking about Legion? Like, there's a game going on, Jay." And
No,
it's
there
just like,
isn't. There's nothing
dude,
happening. Not like
like he moved Vader like a speed one, and then that was his turn and dodged. Like, what do you want me to do about that? Like,
yeah. Yeah.
anyways, but yeah, so long story long, yes, we're talking about it. I have some ideas. Tim has some ideas. We're gonna get together and try to uh we're gonna get together and have some ideas. And so yeah,
Well, it helps that, I'm not too far away. We both have
yeah,
places that we can go to. So, yeah.
yes. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
All right. Next one is from Diffio, DFIO, Defio. It's kind of like lo-fi, but
EFO.
DeFi. So change your name to DeFi, son. I really like what
Or daughter.
uh you've been doing. I think he meant to say, not doing with the unit breakdowns. Maybe if you do similar, but with each individual battle force. Keep up the great work. Yeah, we could break down battle forces. I don't see why not.
I'd be down to do that down the road,
Yeah,
especially with well all the battle forces. But I think we could have a really interesting conversation about Blizzard because we always talk about the quote unquote meta Blizzard, right? Like there's more or less kind of
yeah,
one, maybe two variations, but really in reality, there's actually is a fair amount of freedom within
yeah,
Blizzard to do some
yeah.
cool things.
I could definitely see us doing that. So,
Yeah.
that's on our radar. Thank you,
Mhm.
DeFi. Um, dash O. All right, Kevin Buckingham,
I,
Buchanan.
I think it's Buchanan.
Oh, Buchanan.
Most likely Buchanan, yeah.
No,
The
I'm on.
traditional spelling.
Hey, K
Yes.
Dog, I want you to change your name to Kevin Buckingham's from
K
now
Dog. Or
on.
just change it to K Dog,
Or K Dog,
please.
yeah. Uh, if you had a chance to develop a new battle deck deployment scenario and condition, what would they be and why?
Ooh,
Uh, that's a big question. I so
it's a
so I
good
don't
question.
yeah, and I think we've talked about this before, so I'm gonna give the lazy answer here, which is I don't know specifically what I would come up with, but what I would do is seasons.
Yes. Agreed. Agreed.
So every year and how I view that is the at Worlds, they announce the new season and they say, "All right, here's the 2024 season of the battle deck, and we get four new or five, maybe five,
Yeah.
I would say four. I think four or five,
Yeah.
five. Let's say five of each one. You get five new deployment, five new or old. It doesn't matter. Maybe it's three new and two old, and there's like a mix.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
five of each um deployment objective condition, and you say, hey, this is 2024 seasons battle deck at any sanctioned quote unquote tournament where they're giving away a world's invite, you have to use this battle deck.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's fine. I think you think you still keep elements of the game because you can still shuffle it,
Yeah.
and so you still have the veto system coming into play, but then also knowing like everyone's running with the same kind of things,
Hmm.
um, it levels the field a little bit,
Yeah.
and yes, you're going to have certain things that are going to dominate, but again, it's only going to dominate. Now you said every year. I think that's a little bit too long. I would say every 6 months.
Well, the way AMG and I think development cycles are and everything else they got on their plate, I think reasonably you could do every year. And what you do
Fair.
is maybe it could just be that you come out with one new one of each of a deployment objective and condition
Yeah.
every year, and then you rotate out some of the old ones that maybe aren't as popular anymore. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
evaporators is very difficult right now. And then it gives you a chance to fix them over the year. And then what you could do is at the next worlds, you could be like, hey, here's our update to payload, or here's our update to VAPs, and now
Yes.
that's in this
Yes.
season this year. So we're
That's
rotating
fair.
out, we're gonna rotate out key positions and we're gonna put the new VAPs in. And that's,
Yeah.
so that's I would just do a seasonal thing. That's how I
That's
would do
fair.
it. because I think other than that, without like really thinking about it, it just becomes very much like how, how the other they've already kind of do it with like that they put in the bunker and in the C3PO box. Like there's already
Yeah,
some stuff in there. But yeah, I would do a seasonal thing. That's how I would do it. What about you,
I
Tim?
agree with that.
I think you
I think that's
agree.
fair. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. And I think doing one new one doesn't, on a developer side, like you mentioned, I
Yeah.
don't think it puts too much pressure on them, because especially you can, again, focus on whichever one you want to that you didn't do last time, right? Like you can just cycle
Yeah.
around. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and I
I
would
like that.
say I think like some of the guys over at Scoundrels would argue with us on this, but my view on that too is you don't have to do as much testing with it because you're like, it's
Yeah,
only here for a year. And I can
yeah.
rotate it out if it's really that bad.
Well, and not only that, you could only do it for a year, and then let's just say you completely just bork it and it's just broken and it's not working. So then when you take it out of the rotation, while it's out of the rotation, that's when you can have testing come in and
Yeah,
test it while it's not in the rotation. So you're not like on the clock, you're not sweating. Like again, I'm thinking on the developer side, you're not sweating about like, oh, we gotta get this done or else. It's
right,
saying, okay, this one's not being played right now officially. So let's figure out how we want to fix it. And then by the time we bring it back into the rotation, it'll be quote unquote
right.
fixed.
Because
Yeah,
there's what, 8 of each right now?
I think so. Yeah. I should know that off the top of my head. I really
There's
should.
8. Yeah, it's 8.
Yeah.
So there's 8 of each right now. And
Hmm.
so, you could make a season 5 and you say, hey, these are the 5, like, and then you rotate. You could, if you don't even have to, for the first season, you don't even have to create a new one, right? You just say, hey,
Yeah.
this, and then maybe next season you rotate out 2 or
Yeah.
3 and put in a new deployment objective condition, and that's,
Well, and I will say I feel like they have to be working on new ones because it's been so long. And I'm not a tester, so I don't know. This is not insider knowledge. I'm just thinking out loud of how long it's been since the takeover and everything like that. They've had enough time now. Now, does that mean we're going to see it this year? I don't think so, but you never
yeah,
know. Hey, maybe by the end of the year or something like that. Um, but I would argue that there's probably something in the works. Maybe even just if it's a one-off or something like that, or
yeah,
like you said, one extra.
yeah,
So hopefully something's in there.
yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of in
That's
my
a really,
indirect answer to that.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say that's a really long way to not answer your
Yeah,
question.
yeah. It's just hard. It's just hard because that it dives into like a lot more development than and thoughts than I really want to do.
Yeah.
But
No, that's fair.
or
That's
that
fair.
I'm maybe capable of doing in in the moment
Well,
tonight. So
yeah. Oh yeah. And there's event decks and things like that for those things too. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Or Stormtide. Uh
Yeah, true.
which is
Just to shake it up a little bit.
yeah, which maybe leads into our next one. So this is from Spudley. Spud. I don't like that. I don't like that name. I'm gonna call you Potato Chip. So this is from Potato Chip in our Discord, titled "Calm Before the Storm." Now that most stores are wrapping up their invite events, what are some fun ways to play Legion outside of the norm prepping for Worlds? Are the scenarios in the terrain expansions or any homebrewed scenarios any fun to play? Would playing doubles be good, or would that affect prepping since you're not playing by yourself? So there's a lot of questions here. Yes, I think the scenarios are all good that come with the bunker and the down pod and the X-wing and all that. I think those are all great to play. We have Stormtide. You could sign up for that and play that. But based on the last line of your questions there, Spud Magud, uh, you want to know if how to prep for Worlds, it sounds like. And I would say no scenarios are great. Not even our Stormtide's not good for this. None of the
No.
scenario play. If you're looking to prep for Worlds, I would you just need to play tournaments. Like, and
Yeah.
whether or not there's a Worlds invite, you should just be playing normal games, normal setups, and
Hmm.
playing the decks and playing against as much diversity as you can.
And I will say too, in addition to what you mentioned, there's also, don't forget the Dianoga and things like that, like other special
Yeah.
events and stuff that they've done. And that's technically been official. Like that's
Hmm.
official other events going on. A lot of major events will also say, day two or whatever for those
Yeah.
that didn't make it. Either they have like a redemption bracket, or they might do a redemption bracket and a Dianoga situation or
Right.
whatever. I think what I've tend to see a lot of is day two will have a redemption bracket, and then the third day with the final games will also then have like a Dianoga or something similar because there's a few other scenarios
Yeah,
there.
they got the
But
Ewok one now.
yeah, the Ewok one. Yes, yes, that one, which is basically that one's actually interesting. That one's really close to a regular game of Legion, just with some extra chaos thrown in, which I
Yeah.
kind of like. Like Dianoga, I probably won't play. The Ewok one, you could talk me into playing because it's your regular game, and then there's this random Ewok flying
Yeah.
around on a speeder bike. But then also, I mean, he mentions doubles.
Yep.
Doubles are a lot of fun. Uh, Understand before you go into doubles that the game is not balanced for doubles. And so a
Yeah.
lot of times when you go into a doubles event, and again, a lot of major events have a doubles event on day two, day three, what have you, they'll have their own packet that lays out all the rules. So that's something you would have to do a little more research on for your any given event. But that said, some of the biggest laughs and the most dice and the most fun I've heard at major events sometimes are coming from the doubles tables. And that's just someone who doesn't really play doubles. It's not really
Yep.
my jam. But I walk by and I can see my friends having fun. And that's good enough for me. So I can enjoy them having a good time.
Yeah.
But like seeing four ATSTs or something on a table or something, yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy. Oh, I see what he was saying. So he said affect prepping since you're not playing by yourself. He didn't mean for
Yeah,
words.
no, no.
Um, no, I mean that's the whole point, right? And is
Mhm,
that like the one that they had at Worlds last year, you actually prepped with your teammate, and like I think there was what was the
mhm.
one they brought like what was it? Four, no, six of the Ewok of the Ewok planes and
Oh yeah, yeah.
like yeah,
I know what
there
you're
was
talking
some
about. Yeah,
crazy lists. There was like well, one brought like they brought what was it? Four ATSTs and eight speeder bikes and like so there's just like some wild lists.
well, and I will say too, no matter what your scenario is, if it's doubles or no matter how you're playing the game, even
Yeah.
with skirmish, which makes me gag a little bit because I hate skirmish, but um, I'd rather play doubles than skirmish, but we don't have to go down that path. I think no matter how you're playing the game, as long as you're playing it with your unit cards and things like that, and with your speeds, I think that still can be some level of good practice
Yeah.
because you're learning how placement works. It kind of goes back to like the old X-Wing days, right? Of like you need to learn how your ship is going to fly when you do a two speed or something like that, or if you do a sloop, what's that going to look like for your aircraft or your spacecraft? And
Yep.
so it's kind of similar for Legion of like you need to understand what is a speed two, and it's one thing to know on papers that a speed two is just shy of like a range one or something like that. That's fine, but you need to understand that in actual game terms in playing a game.
Right.
And so no matter what cool rules you're playing with, you get to learn some of that stuff as well. And it's just good habit, good practice.
Yep. Yeah, yeah. And so but yeah, there's any of that you could probably even do skirmish, is fun to play too if you're just looking for some fun ways to play Legion.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Uh,
All
we'll
right,
see, but they also have that new one coming out too, the one that it's still in development, but it's
yeah, whatever. Who cares?
special forces or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah, I could
which
care less.
seems neat. Again, I've not really looked into it, but
Just go play
if
Kill
that's your
Team.
jam, if you want to play with your Legion models, you can play Kill Team with your Legion models, and that's fine. You
Yeah,
know,
sure.
whatever you want to do.
Well, my problem is okay, here yeah.
Uh-oh, uh-oh.
My problem is that it's so far from Legion that it's more Kill Team than it is Legion that you might
Fair,
as well just play Kill Team because it's better. But if
fair,
you're
but
just looking to use your models, you could still just play Kill Team. Just use your models.
yeah, well, I was gonna say, I was like, maybe someone doesn't want to have to go out and buy
Yeah.
other models
I think you could
for
get the
Kill
Kill
Team.
Team rules from the internet. So you could just
Uh,
literally download them and play and then play with Legion models.
I've never
It's
dabbled.
just a better system. I'm
No.
sorry, but it is.
I've never dabbled, so I can't comment on that.
It's so good. Kill Team is so good. And so, anyways, I mean, I know why they wanted to like come up with a Legion Kill Team, right? Because Kill Team's very popular, and if they could do the same thing, it would be great. But like, Kill Team is already so good that it's like, I don't, why bother at this point? All right, last one, unit review with a list. This is from Pinto397, parentheses, Dan.
Never back down, Dan Pinto.
I'm gonna call him P Diddy. So
Oh, that
too
won't
late.
bode well, but that's fine.
I don't care. Listen, if what is that? What's that from? What's that from
From
Batman?
jail?
You
Oh,
either die as the hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. That seems to be
exactly.
so true, right? Like
It's
you just wait long enough, somebody's terrible. They've done
but
something
listen,
terrible. Yeah.
listen. Pinto only has $397. They're no Shadow S Phantom with their
Yeah, yeah,
$2,222.
yeah.
You know.
Well, that maybe that's how many days he has left to live in the back of a
Wow.
Pinto.
Oh, those are days wasted. But
Yeah,
anyway,
maybe he's in the trunk of a Pinto and he's been there for
oh,
397 days.
he's
And
actually asking
Dan's
for
the one
help.
that put him in there. That son of a
Oh,
bitch, Dan.
see, this is actually just a cry for help.
Yeah. All
It's-
right. If you review a unit, I'd like you to include and build your personal favorite list with that unit. So Tim and I were going back and forth because when we first read this, I was like, isn't that what we're doing? And Tim pointed out clearly that more of like, hey, OP Luke's an S tier unit, and here's my favorite list with OP Luke. So
Yeah.
yeah, I like that too. So I think those are a lot of really good suggestions. And the way we're doing things right now, we'll probably get to these halfway to never, but
Yeah.
because we
Well, that one we could do, and we'd have to kind of build it on our own time rather than
yeah.
building it on air because it'd be boring as heck.
I
But
think that could be,
we could
yeah,
build it
maybe
on
if
our
we
own
don't have
time
a
and come back.
mailbag or we're running out of
Yeah,
Patreon reviewed lists, we can yeah,
yeah, we can come back to that. Yeah,
yeah, I like it. I'm gonna store it uh in our thing
absolutely.
in
Totally a real
whatever
thing.
in the
Absolutely.
remember
The thing. Yeah.
it's always like those engineers seem to always have it where it's like here's the suggestion box and they just hand you the trash can or whatever.
Yes, exactly. Yes. We're going
Yeah,
to
or
file it away.
yeah, or take a number for the suggestion box and it's just like the pin to a grenade. Like
See, I always think of the Indiana Jones scene where it goes like it's top secret. It's gonna be like top security and it just goes away, like just gonna
yeah,
wheeled
yeah,
away.
yeah.
It's fine.
Just wheels it into some crazy like yeah.
Yeah, all the crates.
All right. So now's the time that we share our screen. So we are actually going to cover first thing we're going to do is go over a Patreon subscriber list. And then next we're going to go deep dive into a unit and build a list with it. We're going to
True.
move away from uh vehicles for
Heavies.
this week and we're actually going to talk about IRG, which I'm really excited about. And
We'll
I'm
come back
sure
to heavies eventually.
yeah,
We'll get back. Yeah. Mhm.
I'm sure you're saying to yourself, Jay, how do you guys decide what unit to talk about? And the answer is very simple, just based on Jay's whims. Jay goes, Tim, we're talking about IRG today. And Tim goes, okay. And
Yeah,
is there any
that's about
reason?
it.
And then I'll be like, yeah, somebody on Facebook said something about IRG. So I wanted to talk about him.
That's right.
But yeah, all
You
right. So let's share the screen.
you're a
So
lot like me. When I see like a burger commercial or something, and they like a Taco Bell commercial, and they advertise some kind of new food, and they're like, "Don't you want this cheesy gordita?" Yes,
I do.
yes. Now I do.
Yeah,
It works.
I really,
I'm the,
really do.
I'm the person that marketing works on,
Yeah.
and that's fine.
Mine is
Yeah,
we watch like a lot of like cooking shows. I think a lot of
sure.
married couples do
Oh
because
yeah.
it's like, you know why? You know what? I was like thinking about this the other day. Why does reality TV or cooking shows always appeal to married couples? And the reason is because we have such different tastes in TV shows that we can never agree. Like I always want to watch like some action sci-fi. She always
Yeah.
wants to watch some like English
Gilmore
period
Girls.
drama. Yeah,
Yeah.
or something. And I'm like, no, she's like veto. And we're like, what about Hell's Kitchen? And so anytime like they're making food on Hell's Kitchen, I'm like, oh man, I want that so bad. Like,
Dude, Great British Baking Show.
yeah.
Where's that? So good. So
All
good.
right. So let's get through because we're never gonna get through this podcast at this rate. So let's do this real quick. This comes from
Yes.
our friend K Dog or Kevin Buckingham.
Buchanan.
Buckingham.
Yes.
Uh, Yeah. So he called this a rather aggressive list. It's 7 activations. It's got
It's a list.
it's a list. He's got Emperor Palpatine with Force Push, Burst of Speed, Anger, Underworld Connections. Why? Because he's got Boba Fett, with Up Close and Personal and Flame Projector. Then he's got 2 Stormtroopers with DLT 19s, a Snowtrooper with a Flame Trooper and frag grenades. This is like, this is giving me like old school vibes, man. This is like 2, 3 years ago. And
Yeah.
then he threw in the double lat. So he's got 2 lats with TIE pilots, high energy shells. For his command cards, he's rocking simple plan, simple man, simple plan. Now you will die, entire legion, flame projector, rule with respect, give into your anger, and standing orders.
I Okay.
All
There's a
right.
lot to say, and we don't want to. We're not. There's so much. First off, I love that we just did a lat episode talking about the lat, and he basically said, "Wow, it's really cool about what you talked about putting things in the lat to have transports, things like that. I don't care." That's what he said, and I get that. He's like, "I'm going to put this guy on
I
it and
think he
this missile
cared.
on it."
Here. I see
It's
what
the
he's.
opposite.
I see what he's doing. All right. Here's what he's doing.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, really, he's doing like a turn to Pelp Bomb with like a flamethrower backup, right? So,
Yeah.
so basically he's putting, if this were me, right, I would be putting Palp and the snowtroopers and the lats, because one of the
Yep.
things with snowtroopers is when they disembark, they get to do their shoot off of their
Hmm.
disembark move. So they'd be able to flame. If you could get the lat in some enemy lines or near a large enemy unit, you'd be able to pop out and flame right away. Um,
Hmm.
so I see where he's going. I think some of the downsides to this list is 7 activations. I think
Yeah.
if you're gonna do something like this, you need 8. Because that's already putting you 2 behind the average list. 7 puts you 3 behind,
Uh,
which is tough.
Yes, true. You also, unless you're trying to give orders to Boba, you don't need underworld connections for any reason. There's no reason for that.
Yeah. I mean, because
That's the only, unless you're trying to give an order to Boba, which is only going
right,
to happen
because
with
you,
those command
yeah.
cards, going to happen once, looks like, maybe twice.
Uh, yeah,
Talking
once.
from Palp, I
Yeah,
mean,
once.
it's going to be entire Legion, and I guess maybe standing orders, so twice. Let's just argue twice. But like, other than that, you're going to order Palp every
Yeah.
time, and really, you should be ordering Palp
Yeah.
anyway.
So you would want to pull Underworld. I mean, really, the whole move here is, I think you entire Legion turn 1.
Hmm.
You have Pelp and the snowtroopers and the lats. You double move the lats,
Hmm.
which the
Hmm.
you have the TIE pilot, which is increasing their
Hmm.
speed by 1, so now they're at speed 3. So you double move, you're in your enemy's lines, hopefully
Hmm.
still alive, depending, right? Because the lats struggle.
Yeah.
And here's the problem too. The reason I say that, because even with entire Legion, you could hold them to last, but you're still on average going to be 3 activations. Even with pass, you're going to be behind your
Yeah.
opponent. 2 activations. So they're going to have 2 that they're going to be able to hold back. If they've got anything with impact or any large dice pools, they're going
Hmm.
to eat your lats for breakfast on the way in.
Hmm.
And so there's a solid chance you're going to be stuck in your enemy's lines with both your lats with,
You you also don't need the frag grenades because you're already surging hit with the snowtroopers. So I understand it's a better die, and I get
yeah,
that, but like you're already gonna have blast, and you're already gonna have
yeah.
surge hit, so you don't really need that.
Yeah.
So I mean, you drop that in Underworld, you get 10 points back.
I mean, I think yeah, maybe with the crits, you're hoping like if you're like headlong into, I don't know. I don't even know what you need the crits for. I mean, I would
Eh,
almost, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would pull Underworld. I'd pull that. I would almost say,
Yep.
let's say we're gonna keep this roughly the way it is. Okay.
Okay. Put impact grenades then.
Yeah, because they're gonna
Yeah.
stack. Because impact
Impact
grenades
grenades.
stack,
It's
not
better
snack.
than
They don't snack. They stack. They snack on armor.
well, and it's in between, right? So it's better than your white dice. It's going to be worse than your red dice, but it's still in between. That's fine. So you're
Right.
still getting all black dice now when you get range one.
Yeah. And then I would consider a recon
Yep.
on Boba, and then
No, you could if you drop the recon, you could do. Oh no, dang it, 2 points. 2 points too many. You could do e-stims, but it's too many points.
yeah.
Mm.
Well, you could probably pull something else. Let's look. So
You could drop the impact grenades and then put
you
e-stims
don't need
instead.
burst. You don't need burst on
True.
Palpatine
True.
you're bombing him, right?
Yeah, the lat is your burst.
So you would
Yeah.
e-stims. You could do e-stims. You could do maybe emergency transponder.
Always good on Boba. Always good on Boba.
And
Yep.
then you got 5 points left. You could,
C's.
yeah, but you don't. Yeah. All right, C's. So if you wanted
Yeah.
to give him an order, you could, even though we
Sure.
just said you didn't really want him to have orders. But
Yeah.
okay. So you got C's on him. So yeah, I mean I would switch that up with that. I
Yeah. Yeah.
think the DLT 19s, that's fine. I mean, at that point though, they're not really plinking anything from back there. So
Yeah.
I would maybe pull them, and you could let's say give yourself another stormtrooper. We're four over, and I would get rid of flame
Drop C's.
projector.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I would keep flame projector, drop C's, like we just talked about, because we weren't really sold on it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So drop the C's. Boom. There you go. 7.99.
Yeah, and
And
now
now
you're
you're at
at
eight.
eight activations, and that's a lot healthier, I think,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
overall.
Yep. Yeah. I think you're still doing
Let's
the same thing you wanted to do with the list.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say I would get rid of Simple Man, and I would do
It,
Whipcord.
if you're bringing Boba, you're bringing Whipcord.
Yeah.
Please, everyone at home,
Uh,
please, please. If you're bringing Boba, you're bringing Whipcord.
so Flame Projector, I would get rid of that, and I would do Pin Down.
Yeah, I
Here's what.
guess.
All right. So here's what you do. You're pulling up, right, and you're trying to. It gives you another option where
Yep.
maybe you are down by
Hmm.
activations, and what you could do is at least get like that second turn.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not going to pelt bomb, but maybe you're going to do something different, right? And you're going to, so maybe the first turn, you just do like standing orders, then you do entire legion on your second turn. You then can get into position and maybe put two orders back and then get the snow troopers out
Yeah.
and then flame,
That's fair.
but they
Okay.
don't have
I see what you're saying.
comms on here, which is freaking me out.
Yeah.
So let's
I
do
know
let's do
that's
onboard comms and get
yep.
rid of high energy shells, because these aren't shooties.
No.
You're not getting in to do your high energy shells are range for like this.
So here's my thing is with that base, I almost argue you could keep the high energy shells and drop the pilot.
Yeah, you're all right.
That base, so let's argue, like you said, if you're gonna double move your first turn, right?
Yep.
If that's gonna be your plan, if you double move your first turn with that size base on a speed 2, hover 2, you're gonna get over pretty much everything.
Yeah.
And so I don't think the speed 3 gets you a whole lot more. Like unless your opponent is really just hiding in the back line,
Yeah.
I think you're already gonna be close enough to where at worst, you could move and dump.
Okay. Yeah, I like it. So I don't know. I think, and then you potentially could be moving Boba Fett up too into their
Oh
lines.
yeah.
Now you got Pelp, Boba, and the Flames. If that's the
Hmm.
case, I put Force Barrier on Pelp.
Oh, true.
And
True,
then
true.
you're just in the lines going, no, Boba doesn't take that, Pelp doesn't take that, the snow troopers don't take that. Like, I think that's so anyways, this is roughly some changes. Let's look at his battle deck real quick. He's got bombing run. Yep. Recover. No, maybe not. key positions, sure, and breakthrough. Let's see what we got. Other than recover, I would probably do hostage.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Because you got pop. Gosh,
You got
palp
Poppy Pelp.
go.
Got Pip
Poppy
Pop,
palp.
Pip
Yeah.
Pap Pelp. Um,
Yeah. You
all
can pull the
right.
strings.
Yeah, roll
And
out.
don't
Yep.
forget too, everyone, with pull the strings does not require line of sight. It's just trooper within range 1 to 2, which means range 1 to 2 of the lat. Now, if the ability says line of sight, then you have to be out of the
Yeah,
lat because it's closed
right.
transport. But
So he had battle lines, roll out, long march, and major. I would say pull battle and put in disarray
yeah, I probably agree with that.
because
Yeah,
you're gonna put your two lats Pelp in the snows on the one, and then Boba and the rest of your army, well, the three naked
I was gonna say
stormtroopers
all three
in the
stormtroopers.
in
Yeah,
the other one, and now you've got two kind of fronts you could be working on. I kind of like that. Supply drop,
yeah, it's fine.
clear, hostile, and minefield. No, you know what I would
Uh,
do? I would
where
take
is it?
supply drop and put limited viz.
There it is. Yep, 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 yep.
Hostile, yeah, that's fine. Minefield, probably. That sounds good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because the lat won't trigger it.
yeah.
So
But I think
yeah,
this, for the most part, gives you K Dog, K Bucks, K Bukes. Um, this gives you I think roundabout's what you wanted to do with a little bit
yeah.
padding on your order activation and some other options, the onboard comms channels. So now you're making sure, I would with your pin down turn. So you got two pip that you're gonna give to the lats that'll give it to
Hmm.
help in the snows, you know, um, rule with respect. That'll give it to Boba and it's 2 units. So, you could give it to the two lats, which you give it to Pelp in the snows.
Yep.
That gives you a lot more range. And
Yeah.
then I think pin down definitely gives you some more options with
Yeah.
the lats.
Well, and
So
always remember, I mean, we mentioned it before when we were mentioning pin down, but remember you can split fire with your arsenal. So if you're really trying to maximize the face down thing, you could get 4 face downs.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So anywho,
Yeah.
there you go, K Dog. Enjoy.
There you go, bud. Enjoy your new name.
Thanks
Congrats.
for submitting your list.
Tanks for the memories.
Yeah.
Haha. I
See
have a list
you
called Tanks for the
later.
Memories. Yeah. I do have a double tank list called Tanks for the Memories. It's one of my
Yeah, of
favorites.
course you
It's good
do.
times.
My double tank list was always don't tread on me.
It'd be really funny if that was a name of the list and you had no treads.
Yeah,
It's just it was just two like hover grounds or something like that.
yeah, yeah.
Two AATs.
No, they were the Gavs, of course.
I know, of course they were.
All right, IRG. I guess we can.
IRG.
All right. So IRG, otherwise known as Imperial Royal Guards,
What? Well, no, hold
otherwise
on. No, no, you said Magnus. Didn't you say Magnus?
no.
Oh, IRGs. All right, cool. IRGs then.
I absolutely did not say Magnus.
Okay, cool.
I
Cool. Cool,
mean,
cool, cool.
I'll play the tape back. If I said Magnus, I absolutely meant IRGs, but
I don't know I don't know my own brain well
well,
enough to
I
call
think
you
the
that. So here we
problem
go.
is
IRG.
no
Yeah.
one's talked about IRGs in so long that you just
Yes.
automatically went to Magnus.
That's probably true. Anyway,
So
IRGs. There you go.
IRGs, otherwise known as Imperial Royal Guards, otherwise known as Pelpy's backup band. Uh,
Yeah.
they're okay. I really like them. I've always liked them. I have played them a lot. And so I think I'm going to give you a different kind of twist on them. Okay. So they're 69 points. They come with charge, which is after you move, you can perform a free melee attack. Action, Discipline 2. When you're issued an order, you can remove up to 2 suppression, which is great because they've got Courage 2. And Guardian 2. So they Guardian 2 regular hits. They have red defensive dice. They're 2 wounds each with 2 courage. 3 minis come in the standard config. They have a force pike, which in melee gives them a red and a black each. So just standard. That's 3 red, 3 black in melee.
Mm-hmm.
They have a blaster that's 2 black at 2, which just standard with their 3 is 6 black.
Yep.
8 if you throw in the heavy, which you're going
Yep.
to. As far as their upgrades, they have a heavy, 2 training, a whatever that
Gear.
gear, and grenade.
Yes.
So
And
for
don't
the
overlook
heavy,
that grenade. We'll come
no.
back to
Yeah.
that.
For your heavy, your only option is the electro guard. And it gives you immune to pierce. So, it's for fighting,
Immune melee pierce,
melee
just to be
pierce.
clear. Yes. Yeah. It's you roll one worse die because it's 2 black instead of a black and a red,
Yep.
but your immune pierce is worth so much more than that. So
Yep.
that's fine.
And
Yeah.
it's 21 points.
Yeah.
Um,
It's an extra body.
yeah, so we'll go through training slots. So I think we've gone through a lot of these before, but we'll do it again. You have your duck and cover, which is you can gain a suppression during the
Yeah.
apply dodge and cover step. You don't want that with these guys. Endurance, that's a consideration with these guys, but they're too courage, so generally
Yeah.
no. Hunter, you gain an aim when you're attacking something that's wounded. Wounded trooper unit, you don't really want that with these guys. Into the fray, this is something to consider with them because they do not
Yep.
surge at all.
Correct. Correct.
So I'm gonna go ahead and put into the fray on them because I think it should be stapled to them.
That's
And
fair.
we haven't really seen them played much since Into the Fray came out. So, I think that's a very viable option for them. Offensive push, get tactical 1, which is you move, you get an aim. This is a tap. I don't think it's and I'll argue, I'm gonna give you the arguments because I think there's 2 other ones that are way more important on them.
Okay.
And it's not Overwatch, which gives them Sentinel.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
not Protector.
Ooh, that's a bold take right there.
I have 2 other ones that I think are even
Okay.
stronger on them. Uh,
Okay.
okay. Though Protector is good on them. So basically when they use
Yeah.
Guardian, they can crit, but it's exhaustible. So you can only
Yeah,
do
but
it.
it comes back. It comes back every turn.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. I just like
Okay, I'll say this. I think there's many good trainings on them. So
okay, all right.
carry on. Yeah.
It's not outmaneuver.
Fair.
So outmaneuver, you can spend dodge tokens to cancel crits unless okay. Because I think you put into the fray on them. So you only have
Yep.
one training slot left. For me,
Yep.
it's depending on how you're going to use them. For me, it's always between tenacity and up close and personal.
That's fair. I think so. I agree with you on it's how you're going to use them,
Yeah.
but I think that really depends what trainings I'm going to put on them.
Yeah.
If I'm going to use them truly as a royal guard, if they're going to be protecting a commander, whether that's Palp or someone else, then protector to me has to be stapled on them because there's so
Okay.
much critical. We always talk about critical.
All right.
There's so much critical out
Here's
there.
here's how I'll argue, okay? And
Okay.
agree with you. And it's not an argument. So I
Yeah,
argue
yeah,
for
yeah.
what you're saying. I think there's 2 versions of IRG that you're going to run.
Yes.
There's
Yes.
the aggressive, I'm going to go mess you up version, which is probably the one I have in my head right now. And then the
Sure.
second one is I'm going to hang back and protect the army. In the
Yeah.
hang back and protect the army, it's protector and into the fray.
Yep.
If it's I'm going to go attack, it depends on what kind of attack you're going to do because I think
Hmm.
there's 2 modes because I really think their range 2 weapon is great, and if you're going to be using that and shooting a lot, having up close and personal on them to give them the dodge is really
Yeah.
nice. um
I agree.
okay.
And I'm just gonna say in agreement with you. I think their die pool's already in melee is already so good that I don't think tenacity benefits you nearly as much as up close and personal would.
Yeah.
So I agree with that. I
Okay.
think yeah, if you're playing aggro IRG, then I absolutely do into the fray and up close.
Okay, all right, great.
Yep.
Yeah, we're aligned there. Okay.
All right.
For your gear slot, I don't think they need ascension cables. They don't.
There's one. There are 2 options for this, and
Yeah.
that's it in my opinion.
Okay.
There's E gear
Yeah.
or maybe recon intel, but really it's going to be E gear.
Yeah, agreed.
2 points, 2 points to make
Yeah,
it because that charge all of a sudden gets real bad in
yeah.
the sense of like
When
it
they're
sucks
unhindered. Yeah.
when they're hindered by
I will
terrain.
say the new, climbing and stuff adjusts this because it's just reduced to a speed one move, but you do want
Yes.
that speed two when you're going over barricades. That's the big one
Yeah.
that you
Oh
always run
yeah.
into with them.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right, grenade. What do you think?
Uh, to me, again, this is my automatic go-to for them. Frags. It's got to be frags because it gives you surge crit, and with no surge profile, I have rolled so many because I love IRG. I have 2 units of them. I really enjoy them. I think they're really cool units, but that no surge profile really hurts,
Yeah,
especially if you're using your surge tokens on defense, and most of your tokens are defensive, possibly. Um, I think that surge crit can be really big.
yeah.
It costs you 2 dice, so you got to transform two into one, but I think it's worth it.
All right. I like that. So I'm gonna leave that one open for now, and
Yeah.
we could. I know we're kind of going a little bit quicker than we have in the past, but I'd like to
Oh,
start
sorry.
building a list. No,
Yeah.
no, no.
Yeah.
I want to go a little bit quicker than we have in the
Oh,
past.
okay.
Um, but I'd like to build a list with these guys.
Sure.
So
Agreed.
I think I think we need to decide up front what kind of
What are
an
you doing with them?
army are we gonna have here?
Yeah.
And
I
go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, I think the big thing to always remember is that they are Guardian Commander and not just Guardian. Because there's a lot of I shouldn't say a lot, but there's been a slight increase to Guardian in Legion recently, and we have to remember that they are Guardian. Oh no,
No,
they're only Guardian
no,
too.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
You're
wow,
thinking of
I'm completely wrong.
yeah, no, they're
I'm
guarding
thinking of
everything.
I'm
So
thinking of Magnus
yeah,
again.
you are.
Sorry.
So there's two ways of looking at it. So
I'm
you
retired.
d-
I'm
d-
not retired from Legion. That's
that's all
out.
right. Basically, how I see it is you're either putting one in and you're running a gun line and they're protecting your gun line, or you're putting
Yes.
two in and they're going to be your Wookiees, basically, who are going to be super aggressive.
Yeah.
So let's make the aggressive list because I think it's more
Yeah.
fun. So I'm going to
I
put up
agree.
close
I
and
agree.
personal on them.
Sure.
I'm gonna leave grenades off for right now, just because. Um,
Okay.
and I'm gonna make two of these. So we're already at
Okay.
208. So the next thing we need to
Ugh.
do is get in our cores, right? So let's just put
Mm-hmm.
three storms in for now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what would you put in at this point? I have an
To
idea, but where would you go?
um I do think there's still an argument to be made for Palp with them because of
Yep.
pulling the strings. And Entourage, not for nothing. Technically, if you wanted to, you could pull 3 of them. I know that's going to be too many points and it's going to get into a nightmare points wise, but you could argue for that. But I still think Palp is good with him because you've Entourage and pull the strings. So I think that's solid. Um, Side note, I don't hate one aggro IRG and one defensive IRG if you're going to do
Okay.
that, but we
All
can
right.
keep it this way. We
Let's
can
no
keep
no
it this
no
way. It's
no
fine.
I because I have an idea. So let's
Yeah,
let's give the other one a protector. So we've got
sure.
one aggro, one and we'll take
Yep.
environment. No, we'll leave environmental
No,
just
leave it, leave it.
just
Yeah,
in
yeah,
case.
yeah.
So
Yep.
here's a thought that I've been having when I was thinking about this was what if you do Krennic and then you actually get some death troopers in there too?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you put two of those in there because you can have four, you can now put in four special forces basically with Krennic because he can
Yeah.
entourage a death trooper.
Oh yeah.
One we'll give one a comms relay, uh, because he can always give an order to a death trooper. So you want them to
Yeah.
have a comms relay to hand it off to somebody else. We'll
Yep. Yep.
give
Yep.
Krennic aggressive tactics because now
Yep.
he can hand out surges as well to the Royal Guard.
Yep.
Um, the the death troopers don't need it, but it's okay.
IRG do. The
Yeah.
IRG need it, so it's okay.
So we're at 8 activations
Mm-hmm.
and 630.
Yeah.
636. Okay. So we could give the stormtroopers some things, but here's some thoughts. You could potentially put in Bosk
Mm-hmm.
if you wanted. You could potentially put in, I mean, we need to put in, we need to give him Underworld, but
Sure.
you could put in CAD, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But if you wanted to keep the focus on the IRG,
Mm-hmm.
Gav Tank could
Oh.
potentially go in
Oh
there.
wow. Wow. We're going down crazy town now.
You could potentially put Dark Troopers in there too.
Ooh.
Like imagine all these heavy hitters.
Oh goodness. So
So
you can't get
okay.
the extra body.
Well, you
Yeah.
can. Let's get rid of.
You can hold on. You could make one of your DLTs into the DT 109 or whatever the heck her name is. You know what I'm talking about? The one that's half the price.
Oh yeah,
And then you have two instances of compel, not for nothing.
yeah,
So because Krennic has compel, so then you have, which is really good for the IRG.
yeah.
So now you have two compelling units for IRG.
And then I know like there was something. What was the fix where the IRG couldn't Guardian on the Death Troopers or something? What Dark Troopers?
It's the Dark Trooper heavy keyword. It's the unconcerned. It's cannot be repaired or restored or guardianed.
Or Guardians, right?
Yeah.
But you could still basically be running these guys with the IRG
Hmm.
and just have this like line of just brute force coming through.
Yeah.
And then you have two Death Troopers at range 4 plinking away. Well, range, I mean,
Yeah.
you'd have to put this. So what I would do is I would take aggressive tactics off of him
That's fair. That's fair.
because nobody really needs it at that point. Maybe
I think
these guys would
that's
like it,
fine.
but
Well, for the Dark Troopers, you can put their command or not, excuse me, not command, their programming, and then they're gonna be getting retinue going on, which is nice.
yep. Yeah. So
And then I mean
nine activations.
yeah, you got 2 points, and then you can use that wherever you heck you want
Yeah.
to. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter. So um I do think there's maybe a variation. I like this. I'm digging it. I do think there's could be an argument if you're gonna throw Dark Troopers in there,
Yeah.
you could do bop, 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 Gideon, move some things around, and you lose a Death Trooper, but you put Gideon in there instead, and because he's so good with Dark Troopers and whatnot. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Dark Saber going on. You could put the other heavy on the Dark Trooper, so then you have a fully loaded Dark Trooper,
Yeah. I like
and
it.
you still have what, 14 points? Yeah,
Yeah.
14 points left. So you can't put aggressive tactics, but you could always throw Binox on him, which is the next best thing.
Yep.
And then you got 6 points left. And then you could technically I mean there's a lot you could do with 6 points, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean it's really, yeah. I mean
It,
there's a lot of options here.
uh, I do think though, well, it's no, then you lose IRG. Yeah, I think that's solid enough. It's just you got to remember that the IRG is not going to be able to guardian the Dark Troopers, so I don't
Right.
think maybe that's getting the most bang for your buck. But if you're going to run a offensive Gideon, that can be guardian for Gideon.
Yeah.
Um, they can guardian for the deaths, which you might not want because the Death Troopers surge better than they do or block better
Yeah,
than they
yeah, yeah,
do.
yeah.
But it depends on what you're trying to do.
But yeah, I mean, you can. So, like, if we go back to Krennic and I bring another Death Trooper in and I give him
Yep,
the
yep.
relay, so we're at 798.
Hmm.
I mean, you could probably actually, you know what you do is you give the Death Troopers with the comms relay,
Hmm.
you give them recon so that they can get
Hmm.
up a little bit and still hand out orders to the Dark Troopers or whoever who are out in the front lines.
Yeah.
But like I like the reason I switched back was I like his command hand a little bit more
Yeah.
with this, with all this variation. And so like I think you
Oh,
definitely give him Annihilation Looms and
yep.
Assault,
Yep.
then definitely deploy the garrison.
Yes. Can we pause on that for a second?
Yeah,
Remember that deploy the garrison on Dark Troopers means they can't lose their standby unless they obviously take an action. But as long as
right,
they're not taking an action, they don't lose that standby because they can't take suppression.
right.
So the Dark Troopers, once they get that standby, keep it until they either use it or lose it on their own
Yeah,
terms.
and there's so many options for this, right? So you could give it to the Dark
Hmm.
Troopers, you could give it to the Royal Guard, you could give,
Yeah.
but you're getting two troopers plus the comms relay as well, to the Death Troopers. So you could give
Hmm.
this to your Royal Guards and the Dark Troopers, and
True.
they would all have a
That'll
free
have face
standby.
ups. No, no, not all.
Yeah, it's all face up.
It's no, it's
Trooper
two.
units that have face up order tokens.
Choose up to two friendly trooper
Or
units that
two,
have face
right?
up.
Yeah, you're right. It's two. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
What I meant is
It's
you would
okay.
have the options between the three that would have the
Yeah,
standbys.
whatever you need to do, you have the options for it.
So and then I would do push.
Yeah.
And then yeah, and then voracious ambition is a great card.
Hmm.
And then I would do probably I could I because you have four special forces,
I would do covert.
I could see an argument for covert for sure. So
Yeah.
yeah, and then objective play for this, I would do key positions because
Hmm.
that's going to be rough for
Yep.
everyone. Um, I would do hostage. I think
Yep.
hostage would be all right.
I think that's fine.
Um, this is where
I
it
don't
gets a
hate
little
payload.
trickier. No, I don't hate payload either. I think you put your dark troopers and your royal guard all on payload and just go, yeah, I don't know, good luck with that. Uh,
Yeah. It's where plotting doesn't matter. Like I don't
yeah.
even care. I'm just moving along with payload. There we go.
And then your last one, I could see any one of these. I think recover would be interesting. Um,
I agree.
you could
Um,
also do, I mean, I could see an argument for bombing run.
well, heck, you're at 800, just go for sabotage.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, advanced positions for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure.
For sure. I would do battle lines.
Hmm.
I wouldn't do long march. I'd stay away from that.
Yep.
I would consider hemmed in. I think you
Hmm.
actually liked hemmed in. And then probably major.
Yeah. I, for personal preference, I would swap hemmed in with rollout, but yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to stay away I would just stay away from like rollout or long march just because it's like a lot of space in here that I have to go to, like, especially the Royal Guard don't really like space when they're trying to move across. They
That's
just
fair.
in my experience.
No, no,
Um
that's fair. That's fair.
yeah, and then for here, let's see, for conditions,
Fortified, probably.
yeah, I would do fortified. I would do supply drop because you could pop some Bactas or something or targeting scopes. Like it's
Yep.
this, you know,
You want rapid. You want rapid so bad.
yeah.
You really want rapid. If you can
And
get that, good luck.
and then I would
Yeah.
say probably clear for my last one because I don't really, I mean, well, no, you know what?
I think
You might want to do hostile.
I was gonna say I would do hostile
Yeah, I think you do hostile.
because the dark troopers won't care. Death troopers are the ones that are dealing suppression.
Yeah, and so
IRG would
you're,
care, but they're too courage.
yeah, not that much though, and they're disciplined
Yeah.
too. So,
Yeah, that's fine.
and if you're issuing them orders, they're going to be pulling too off, and then Krennic, you're basically, you know,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think that's fair. That's fair.
So yeah, I don't know. That's a it's a wild build. But I think it would be fun. That would be fun to
Yeah,
play. So anywho, ah,
I dig it. I
we
think
did it.
IRG actually have a lot of flexibility. I
Yeah.
don't think they are game-winning pieces normally,
No.
but I think they are great support pieces that are a lot of times
Yeah.
underutilized.
Listen, and for those of you like this is a wild list, and I think we know that.
Yeah,
I think this is a hard hitting list, though. I think
yeah.
this is a much scarier list than you think it is. Um,
No, I think it's yeah. I think it
but
is.
you could definitely, I could see variations of IRG. We're gonna see it with the Inquisitors that are going to come out before Worlds. I didn't want to
Hmm.
get into that today just because I don't know enough about them, and they're not out yet. But
True.
there's worlds where you could have IRG and maybe Boba, maybe double bounty IRG. You could have a Boba Bosk IRG list that would slap, I think,
Oh
pretty hard.
yeah, yeah. And again, like I said, I joke around. I'm not actually retired from Legion, but I definitely yeah. Royal Guards can guardian everybody, not just commanders. I'm
Yeah,
speaking of IR
so
of Magnus.
let's
Yeah.
pull it back and we'll put just real quick because now I'm thinking about it. I like
Yeah.
Krennic with bounty hunters too. He's really good
Oh
with
yeah.
so you could let's put Boba in there. We'll give him the norm like a normal kind of breakout. We'll give him that. His flame. We'll give him. I like recon on him. Uh, I'll skip that for a second. We're gonna give him. What do you think? C's and
Yep. Up
maybe
close.
yeah, or offensive. You could probably go offensive push with him now because you're gonna have the IRG if they're gonna be covering him.
Oh, true. True.
Make him a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah.
Let's see if he could fit. So we'll put Bosk in there. We give him Hunter, we give him C's, and then we give him targeting scopes.
Yep.
So get your three bullshit core in there. Then you can have your death troopers. We'll give this one the comms relay. I think you could probably get two of those in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you could get, for those of listening, we've got Royal Guard with the Electro Staff, Into the Fray, Protector, and Environmental Gear. Krennic with Underworld. Boba with Offensive Push, Seize, Recon, and Flame Projector. Bosk with Hunter, Seize, and Targeting Scopes. Three Naked Stormtroopers. And two Death Troopers, and one with their loadouts with the DLT and the E11, and one has comms relay. That's so good.
I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, that command hand. I've played a variation of
Oh, yeah.
Krennic double bounty, but like you you do
Oof.
you do
You gotta do
whipcord,
whipcord. Gotta do whipcord.
and it's for me it's a toss up between voracious and simple, but with this configuration, I'd go voracious just to have like
That's fair. I
to
think that's
know.
fair.
Um, then at the two pip, you definitely do deploy the
Yep.
garrison. And I would do reptilian rampage just because
Yeah. I think Reptilian Rampage is his best card.
yeah,
I think you could leave out all the boss cards other than Reptilian
yeah,
Rampage.
agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then at the three pip, you rule with respect for sure.
Yep.
And then, if
Oof.
this is
This
this
is
this is tough. This is where it gets
this is
real
the
tough.
hardest choice right here. Yeah.
I think you could probably skip Annihilation Looms and it would come down to Assault, a Lying in Wait, and Jetpack.
I
Those are
think it's
the
got to be Jetpack. I think it's got to be Jetpack. It's so good for your early turns,
yeah.
especially against armor.
Yeah. And I think Lying in Wait is never as great as it seems like it's gonna be.
No,
But yeah,
because unless your dice are just awful, which happens, absolutely happens. Normally, it feels like lying in wait. You get your what 5 crits? You get your 5 crits pretty, like two aims in, right? Like 2 or 3 aims in with targeting scopes. You're probably getting your 5 crits, and now you have the rest are just kind of
yeah,
wasted. And you
yeah.
worse than wasting the aims, you wasted the command card.
Yeah, I like it, but when you have a mixed bag like this, yeah, I would go, we could go Rockets. I think Rockets fair. You got, and then I would, at this point, we've got 10 points. So I think, you could, I don't hate recon on both the Death Troopers because it gets them up closer.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
now we're at 6 points. I mean, you could even, if you wanted to get wild, maybe one of them you're really gonna like move up. You could put offensive push on one of them. You could also take a look at like maybe emergency transponders on Boba.
yeah. Now, here's my argument though. If you're doing this when you only have three special forces, so you don't need
Yeah.
the extra special force, I think this list in just about every way is better with Callus because of contingencies.
Yeah.
I think you
Uh,
make a double
well, I
down
don't know
list with
about in every way.
IRG.
I think where Krennic kind of helps out here is the whole with the whole entourage with the Death Troopers and then the
Yeah,
comms.
so you're giving away the order.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
you're actually getting an extra order face up order token, which gives you some good uh
yeah,
order
that's fair.
control.
That's
But
fair.
I both, right? I think Callus is really good too. Don't get me wrong. I'm just my argument
No, yeah,
when
yeah.
it comes with to Krennic is like, yeah, but if I have Death Troopers, I've got an extra activation on the table every round.
Yeah, I get that. I get
It
that.
just give because especially with this list, like you're kind of locking it down with like the C's on both the bounty hunters, and then like if you have the comms relay, you could relay it to the IRG.
Oh
So
yeah, for
you know
sure.
what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you could have a lot of orders out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you could
No, that's true.
potentially have both Death Troopers, the IRG, and both bounty hunters all with face up order tokens on a
Yeah,
deploy the garrison turn.
yeah. And then you get to choose who gets to
Yeah,
stand
and
by.
then you choose your
Yeah,
standbys. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. I think
Anyways,
that's fair. Yeah.
just some
So
wild thoughts.
point being is IRG have lots of play and lots of
Yeah.
options. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean in this format, the IRG, you know, you just basically run them with Boba and Bosk, and they're just pull because one of the biggest things in this list, I played a variation of this list a few times
Yeah.
without the IRG, and the biggest problem was, opponents are heavy targeting Boba and Bosk, and Bosk is all right, and but they can survive, but having the IRG there that just like plink off stuff, or like if
Yeah.
all of a sudden a force user gets crazy and wants to dive, well now you got the IRG there too, and they're like, all right, let's
Yeah.
play, and they just
Oh
go in
yeah.
and
Uh, yeah, that's
so
true. And also, I do think, and we don't even have to go down this whole rabbit hole, but I do think there is some arguments. It's not how I play, but I have seen people do it with actually decent effect to having just a naked IRG just
yeah,
for the Guardian, just for Guardian. And again, it's not how I would choose to play it, but I've seen it done and I've seen it done well. So
right,
that's an option you can do too.
yeah, yeah.
You know?
So anyways, so that's a bunch of uh kind of skewed lists that you can play that
Yeah.
I think would do well and would really get
Yeah.
people thinking, you know. I actually
Oh
this
yeah.
one we have right now, I really like this one. I may actually play a variation of this. I think if we end up that's I if we end up doing some battle reports, I think you can absolutely see Tim and I playing some wild skew lists like this. I
Oh
think it
yeah,
would be a
for
lot of
sure.
fun. So,
It'd be a lot of fun. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, cool.
Well, that's our cast for this week.
That's it.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for listening. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week. Sign up for
Bye.
Golden Sprue.
Yes, it's gonna be a great time.
It's going to be amazing. I promise. All right. That's it.
Bye.
Bye.
Join us next week for another edition of the Fifth Trooper podcast.
This has been a Fifth Trooper production.